The Battle of Trinidad. Where else but in Yonkers, where we're swinging on the Star. And another cordial welcome to Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. I'm your host, Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal, joined as I always am by our boxing analyst and renowned journalist, Steve Farhood. The Battle of Trinidad?
In Yonkers, no less.
Well, that's where we are. John Lennox Lewis. He's one half of the Trinidad side here. John Lennox Lewis is his real name, we found out, though. Isn't that true?
It is. I saw him fight in Queens last year. He put on a good performance. He's an interesting fighter because this is a guy, Arnie, that's fought as heavy as cruiserweight. Tonight we see him at 160 pounds. You think maybe some of the losses he had at the higher weight were because he was fighting too heavy. Middleweight might be where he should be.
He actually went over to England for 3 of those fights, too, and had a lot of trouble over there, so England wasn't exactly swinging for him, was it?
No, and that's where Lennox Lewis is from. Maybe he was trying to copy his namesake a little bit too much there.
His opponent, David Noel, coming off a 3-year layoff, but just prior to that layoff, a big win over Guillermo Jones, stopping him in 2 rounds.
Well, that tells you all you need to know, because Guillermo Jones twice fought for the World Junior Middleweight title. So clearly Noel, while the long layoff, is a puncher, and that will give him a big chance tonight.
Battle of Trinidad, another stellar matchup. Stay with us right here on Star Boxing. Star Boxing is brought to you tonight by Gatorland, Orlando's fastest growing family attraction. Virkusboro Hotels. Next time you're in Vienna, try the Virkusboro. And by Vivo Restaurant Bar and Caterers, the finest Italian food in Queens. All right, making his way to the ring right now, John Lennox Lewis from Trinidad. Coming in tonight, 9-4-1, 7 wins by way of knockout, trying to turn things around after a bit of a disastrous trip to England back in '99 in the beginning of Y2K. We caught up with him today at the weigh-in, and we asked him, is this a battle of Trinidad? Because, of course, his opponent tonight, David Noel, also from Trinidad. His thoughts at the weigh-in.
Well, I'm the king. I'm the new king in town. And let it go on record. It will go down in history. John L. Lewis is the new king in town. And anybody come my path in this division, in this time, they will go down in the ring.
All right, making his way to the ring right now, David Noel coming in tonight, 28-9-1, 14 wins by way of knockout. Has not fought since November of '97 when he got stopped in the rematch with Guillermo Jones. He's just a couple of weeks shy of 40 years of age. His thoughts on being 40.
Well, I still believe that there are guys out there that I can still beat and take their titles. And this is what I'm all about, the cause of sex.
All right. See Lennox Blackmore right now in the corner with David Noel from Trinidad, but we're going to get the official introductions on our pugilists and a little bit more information from the man who's got all the answers, the magnificent Mark Bureau.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing presents 6 rounds in the super middleweight division. Your referee for this event is Michael Ortega. Introducing the principals first. In the red corner, to my left, wearing the black trunks with the gold trim and weighing in at 160 3/4 pounds. His professional record reads 9 victories, 4 defeats, 1 draw, and 7 wins coming by way of knockout. He hails from Trinidad and now boxes out of Brooklyn, New York. Introducing John Lennox Lewis. His opponent in the blue corner, wearing the royal blue trunks with gold accessories. He weighs in at 163 3/4 pounds. his professional record, 28 victories, 9 defeats, 1 draw, and 14 wins coming by way of knockout. He also hails from Trinidad and also now boxes out of Brooklyn, New York. Introducing David Noel. Noel, 6-round super middleweights.
Well, as we're getting ready here for the Battle of Trinidad, I'm both excited and honored to have joining us at ringside a member of the New York Sack Exchange, Joe Klicko. Welcome to ringside.
Great to be here, guys.
Touch them up. Best of luck to both.
You know, it's interesting, Joe, that you would see a situation. We're in Yonkers, and we've got the Battle of Trinidad. Only in New York, right?
Well, I can say everybody seems to hail from New York after they come from Trinidad, though. I mean, there's a lot of fighters that come out of New York. Me being a Philadelphia kid, you know, it was always Philadelphia being a big fight town. And it really, after I moved to New York and started playing, it surprises me how many fighters do wind up in New York.
All right, bell for the first round. This is scheduled for 6. Black and gold for Lennox John Lewis, or John Lennox Lewis, as the Fight Facts here has it backwards. And David Noel in blue has a knockout victory over Guillermo Jones, but let's see how much rust is going to be a factor after a 3-year layoff. And already it looks like it's a problem because Lewis all over him here in the first and has Noel holding on.
Well, it's getting
Joe,
ugly
if
in
we were
there.
going to put this into perspective, what would it be like going back to football after not playing for 3 years?
I'd be rusty, you know, and I can understand him being in there now, not being sharp at all after all these years of a layoff.
You know, Arnie, Lennox Lewis, the other Lennox Lewis, the one we're watching, has 4 losses in 14 fights, but he fought at cruiserweight. Now he's down to middleweight, and I mean, that's a 30-pound weight difference. It's a big difference. I think he's much more comfortable at this weight. I called his last fight, and he boxed much better at that weight. So far, he looks pretty good tonight as well.
Well, 3 of those 4 losses all came in a row. 2 of them in England and 1 in Canada. The last one coming against Eric Lucas back in May of Y2K. Finally turned things around with a draw, if you call that turning things around. But right now, really turning things up on David Noel, who's having a very bad first round back.
And Joe Klecko, for the audience that may not know, boxed in college at Temple University. You ever flirt at that time? I mean, you were too good a football player to box, but did you flirt with the idea of boxing pro?
Yeah, I fought a lot. I fought in PAL, and I fought in club boxing in college because the NCAA doesn't sanction it. But yeah, I did. I wasn't bad at it. I was a pretty quick big kid, and I had a couple of Philadelphia lawyers that actually wanted me to think about it.
Under a minute to go here in the first. And of course, Joe, you had to be somewhat influenced or uninfluenced by your Sack Exchange patriot there, Mark Gastineau, turning pro.
Yeah, I was a little bit embarrassed by that myself. You know, a lot of football players always try to think that they can get in there because they've been tough guys on a football field. But you get in there that little 20 by 20, and there ain't nobody to help you. And you're all by yourself. It's a different world.
Well, tough guy right now is John Lennox Lewis, having full control over comebacking David Noel. And we'll see, though, if historically Russ seems to fall off of people as the fight continues. This is scheduled for 6. But can Noel get back on track?
Well, at least he has his legs under him now. He really got caught very early and was shaky. And at least as a veteran,
oh, he got caught again there, Steve, by a left hook.
But he knows how to hold, and that's what he's doing right now. That's what got him through the round.
Sign of a veteran. Round number 2, scheduled 6th round. They're middleweights. In the blue shorts, David Noel had a very tough first round from black and gold, John Lennox Lewis. Now coming out, though, drops a big right over the top.
Arnie, judging by what we saw in that first round, David Noel looks every bit a 40-year-old fighter. But a reminder, 3 years ago, he knocked out a fighter named Guillermo Jones. Guillermo Jones was almost a world champion, and that was 2 fights ago for Noel. So knocked out Guillermo Jones in 2 rounds in Venezuela. Clearly, this guy has some talent.
Jones, of course, fought those 2 fights with Moran Bubwani. And either time, a lot of people thought he won both of them. Could have been world champion. But right now, that right hand over the top really seemed to stop Lewis a little bit here. 14 knockouts in his 28 wins for David Noel. 7 knockouts in his 9 wins for John Lewis. So both fighters with a little bit of punching power. Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal ringside here with Steve Farwood and former Sac Exchange member with the New York Jets, Joe Klecko. And Joe, you were commenting about how it would be coming back for you after 3 years. But are you starting to see the rust almost fall off?
Yeah, I mean, you can see he's been there before. He's done it before. And I'll tell you what, he has a lot. He sure is a powerful-looking guy. He doesn't let him run him over and push him around much. And when he came over top of that one right hand, he backed him off a good bit.
Well, they always say the last thing to go is your punch.
Yeah. But I tell you what, it didn't seem like it was going there.
It's fair to bring up that Noel has been in the gym, at least according to him, for the last 3.5 years. He hasn't stopped training, never officially retired, just had trouble getting fights.
I tell you, as he goes along here, he looks like a slow starter. He's picking up a little momentum as he comes along.
Certainly having a much better second round as we've got under a minute to go there, but there's a body shot that got his attention from John Lennox Lewis.
Seems like Noel's offense is pretty much that overhand right. I don't see much else from him.
But you know what, Steve? It might be enough if Lewis keeps dropping his left hand.
I tell you, Noel looks pretty relaxed for being pretty rusty.
Good left hook.
The one thing you can't take away from him is the experience of 38 fights compared to only 14 for Lewis.
He's not shook up in there. He's been there before. You can see that.
Again, continues to land the right, and you think by right now that Lewis would figure that out because it's a telegraphed punch, but he stands there and takes it. Much better second round here for Noel.
Hey, Joe, there's another heavyweight. Well, it's the end of the round. I'm going to hold off the thought till next round. Talk about another heavyweight who boxes.
Hey boxing fans, come out for live boxing. Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing presents Rockin' Fights. For ticket information, go to starboxing.com or ticketmaster.com. See some of the best young fighters. Star Boxing, Rockin' Fights, it's a knockout.
Round number 3 of a scheduled 6-rounder, and in between rounds, Bob Jackson really in the face of John Lennox Lewis. And of course, Jackson just back from that Oleg Moskayev demolition in Las Vegas, and he'd like to stop that losing streak right here and now tonight. But I've got to tell you guys, I don't know how you saw the second round, but I thought Noel pulled it out. He was certainly the aggressor and continued to land those right hands.
I tell you, he worked him inside too. He kept working and working and wouldn't let him up.
Lewis breathing heavy from his mouth between rounds. Might be a little bit fatigued at this point.
Interesting, Bob Jackson, in between rounds, telling Lewis not only what punch to throw, but where to throw it. He was saying, watch where you throw. I think he was complaining that Lewis was landing too many shots to the top of Noel's head. And obviously, what you're going to do, get out of that, is hurt your hand.
Right.
Joe, the heavyweight I wanted to bring up, another football player, retired undefeated from boxing, Ed Too Tall Jones.
I know he did.
Six fights, 6 wins.
I knew you were going to bring it up.
Right.
There were some well-picked fights on the score.
It's all in the matchmaking, right?
Yes.
A lot of wrestling going on right now, and perhaps that's a lot to do with those overhand rights, and this may be the way Lewis is trying to fend those off, Steve.
Well, Lewis should keep the fight outside. See, he's starting to fight Noel's fight. Pushing and wrestling.
A lot of wrestling and grabbing right now. Noel being very economical, knowing this is his first fight in over 3 years. If he needs to go the 6-round distance, he's not going to be doing a lot of dancing around the ring.
He sure does cover him up. He doesn't let him up.
Yeah, both guys are looping their punches now. That's one of the reasons neither one's connecting.
very uneventful first half here of the third round. Nobody able to take control as they're wrestling inside. About the only guy taking control is referee Mike Ortega at this point. And of course, we'd be remiss if we don't point out, of course, he's the son of the great welterweight Gaspar Ortega.
It looks a lot like Noel's got more life as he goes. He's got more confidence fighting against Lewis as he goes on here. Lewis is, I mean, I guess he was worried about him maybe in the beginning, but now he just doesn't seem to be worried about him at all.
And again, I don't think you can replace experience. 38 fights to a 14 fighter, except for that little rustiness in the first round. Seems to really be able to hang right now with a very fatigued-looking John Lennox Lewis as we're just about halfway gone in this scheduled 6-rounder. Tough round to call, and Ortega telling him to watch the heads as we come to the end of the third.
Can't get enough of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing? Download the Star Boxing TV app or check out our Roku channel to watch exclusive content and classic fights. Every punch, every knockout, every screen. The Star Boxing TV app gives you exclusive access to every moment of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. Available on Apple, Android, and Roku. Just search Star Boxing to get in the ring.
Second half of the Battle of Trinidad, scheduled for 6. David Noel, he's in the blue, black and gold. John Lennox Lewis, nobody on the floor thus far. And I was about to say looking very good after a 3-year layoff, but all of a sudden, Lewis picking up where he was in the first round and really rocking David Noel here at the start of the fourth.
A couple of left hooks, Arnie. And once again, Noel was grabbing as if he was really seriously hurt. He looks okay now.
Well, I'm here with Steve Farhood and Joe Klecko. I've got the fight dead even, 29-29, going into the fourth. Joe, how do you see it? Do you care to comment?
Well, maybe the first right, maybe you give him an edge to Lewis in the first round, but Noel definitely came on and took the second round, there's no doubt. And you have an even third round, so it's been a very good, close match that way.
Steve Farhood?
I agree. I have a 1-1-1. I'd call the third even.
That's incredible. All three of us called the third round 10-10.
Yeah, the future is a boxing judge, Joe, if you're ready.
I think what it was, there was really no winner in the third round.
Exactly, nothing happened. Yeah. Weird fight, because now you got Noel dancing and moving to his left. He hasn't done that the whole fight.
And I think he's using up a little bit too much. He's on his bicycle. And right now, Lewis fighting a much better fight. Staying on the outside and very shaky legs right now of the 40-year-old David Noel.
I think he walked into a right hand back there.
He's trying to wind up and sucker punch with that bolo. Lewis having no part of it and a lot of grabbing. I'll say this, neither fighter can spell jab. There hasn't been much jabbing in this at all. And that's surprising more for the veteran David Noel, who you would think over all of those fights would have developed a pretty good jab.
I mean, but it looks at it, though, Noel doesn't want to get away from him. He wants to keep Lewis right next to him. He just doesn't want to give him any room to sit out there and actually box with him. I don't know, whether that's his theory coming in here, but he doesn't want to be out in the middle of the floor with him.
There's that big looping right hand. That's been the best punch of the fight for David Noel. Trying to land it over the top, but apparently, finally, John Lennox Lewis figuring it out and not getting caught with it as much as he did in the second and third round.
And I tell you, there's been a lot of holding in this fight, and one of the main reasons there's been a lot of holding is when Lewis punches, he's moving forward. When he jabs, he steps forward. When he throws his right hand, he steps forward. He steps right into Noel. Makes it much easier for Noel to grab. You see right there, Lewis coming forward, right into the range, making it really an infight and allowing Noel to grab him. And this dancing by Noel with his hands down, that's a mistake.
Well, especially at his age, putting out much too much energy right now. Round number 5, Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal along with Joe Klecko and Steve Farhood. And very vocal between rounds was Bob Jackson to John Lennox Lewis, telling him that he feels David Noel's ready to lay down, but not really telling him any positive instructions in terms of strategy. Just basically telling him the other guy's tired.
Well, he told him to don't let him hold. You know, don't accept when Noel wants to hold. Move your hands. Just pepper him. Keep punching. There you see him falling in again. Lewis falling into the clinch.
But what can he really do, Steve, at that point to stop it?
I think it's a matter of moving your feet. You know, he's not establishing distance with his feet.
Mike Ortega taking a point away for holding. Well, that'll help. Very close fight at this point. Nobody's been down in the fight. And if anybody was hurt, we'd have to say it's been David Noel. Back in the first round and probably again in the fourth. He managed to take control in the second and third round, but John Lewis going back to fighting on the outside, and that's been the ticket for him.
Joe, what's tougher for an athlete? You've been both ways. 2-a-day workouts in the summer, in July, in training camp for football, or training for a fight? What do you think?
Absolutely training for a fight.
Really?
There's the exhaustion of fighting. Well, I was a heavyweight too, you know, so it was a lot different for me to go out and run 5 miles than it is for a smaller man. But still, holding your hands up for them rounds, people really don't understand, but the adrenaline running through your body, how hard that is.
Little tape coming loose right now on the gloves of David Noel. See if Mike Ortega is going to wait for a lull in the action to have it fixed, or if he's going to let it go.
The TV announcers, Arnie, always say how dangerous that is, the loose tape. Have you ever seen a fighter get injured from loose tape? Never.
Well, it's like when your mother would say, you're going to get your eye poked out. Did you ever see anybody get their eye poked out?
No. I guess theoretically that tape could go into the other fighter's eye, but I've never seen it happen.
I also never saw anybody bite their tongue off from not having their mouthpiece in, but that's another story for another day. Noel landing some good shots on the inside right now. Seeming to get back in this round as John Lewis, looking very tired, gets caught with a big shot, and he's holding on now, and that's not because of Noel.
That point deduction's big, though. It erases everything Noel's done this round.
I'll tell you what, he's hurting with that jab.
Lewis looking very tired.
And Noel has a pretty bad cut over the left eye.
And we're going to take a little time out here. Mike Ortega's bringing him over to the corner. Have the doctor take a look.
A lot of blood.
Remember, we're more than halfway gone. We'd go to the scorecards in New York. Doc says no problem. They're going to let it continue. We're almost at the end of the 5th round anyway.
And Bob Jackson signals with hand signals to Lewis. Right hand, turn it over onto the eye. That's what he told Lewis to do.
I think Lewis is dead tired. I think he's more tired at this point than Noel.
I think when they took away the point for holding, he...
Whoa, the shot after the bell, and he gets a warning from Mike Ortega.
Hey, boxing fans, come out for live boxing. Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing presents Rockin' Fights. For ticket information, go to starboxing.com or ticketmaster.com. See some of the best young fighters. Star Boxing, Rockin' Fights, it's a knockout.
Sixth and final round, the Battle of Trinidad. David Noel, he'll be in the blue shorts if he comes out of his corner. They're fixing that tape we talked about.
Hide the women and children in between rounds. I mean, the two corners, Keith Steckman and Bob Jackson, really giving motivational speeches.
And there, of course, is John Lennox Lewis. He's in the black and gold. There's nobody been on the floor. Slight cut on the eye right now at David Noel, and I think that point is going to loom very big. Point taken away for holding in the 5th round. I've got the fight unofficially 49-46 in favor of John Lennox Lewis. But he was rocked in the 5th. Make no mistake about it, and he's very tired.
You talked about the jab earlier. Every time he uses it, he sets Noel off balance. Every time he seems to come in and he sticks him with that jab, it confuses him.
Comeback fight tonight for Noel. Has not fought since November of '97. That was his rematch against Guillermo Jones, where he said he got jobbed in the first round. Quick whistle. Down in Panama. Didn't want to go to Panama. Has not fought since then.
Arnie, I called Lewis's last fight in December. It was a 6-round draw. The way I have this fight, if Noel can win this round, I think it's a draw.
Well, but Steve, with the points deduction, he's going to lose by 1 point if that happens.
Well, I called 1 round even, and I gave Noel the 5th. So I called that a 9-9 round. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't. I've got it 49-46 the other way, where he basically needs a knockout or at least putting Lewis on the floor to come out on top or at least get a draw. Major surgery going on right now on the gloves of David Noel.
Well,
now the tape is off totally, and
they can't leave his glove like that, can they?
And he's going to fight with the laces open.
That's dangerous.
That was surprising that Mike Ortega did that.
Yeah, I mean, the laces are flapping there. Now they're all the way down. He's going to have to stop the fight. Yeah, he'll stop the fight. You can't leave the laces flying like that.
And this is a bit of an abortion here in the 6th round.
Yeah, I think
and a very critical round in the fight.
They kept the same tape from his last fight.
Hey, things are tough, Joe. The market's down.
Cost-cutting measures.
Don't start talking about that. You'll have guys jumping.
Well, the referee doing the tape job himself. Good idea.
Oh, and Noel, as we're back in action here, trying to sucker punch his way in on John Lennox Lewis. And there's that big overhand right that's been the punch that's landed all night long for Noel. Starting to land one more time, and he rocks an uppercut. And now he's got John Lennox Lewis holding on, and it's not voluntarily.
That cut's still bleeding, but it won't be a factor because we're in the last round. Noel's a bull. He just puts his head in there, and it's not surprising he got cut.
I think all things being considered at this point, contrary to what we saw in the first round, after an almost 3.5-year layoff, I think he's making a pretty good show of it.
Yeah, if it was called knocking the rust off or confidence, he sure got a lot of it in the 2nd round.
See, at this point in the fight, Lewis is just too fatigued to do anything about Noel's holding and Noel staying on the inside. Much harder to move your feet after 6 rounds.
And with all the stoppages, I have no idea at this point, or does the truck, what the official clock is and how much time is really left in this fight. Noel again dropping the big right over the top. I think he's pulled out this last round, but is it enough to pull out the fight? Keep in mind, he had a point deducted for holding back in the 5th, and that might be the difference here tonight. I've got it unofficially 58-56 for Lewis.
I think Lewis won it. I have him a couple points ahead.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think Lewis really showed up at the end of the fight there.
Might have been more fun to see it go 8 rounds and see what would happen then.
Yeah, see who could hang on the longest anyway.
But right now you see Lennox Blackmore is in the ring trying to finally work on that cut. Was never a factor in the fight. John Lennox Lewis walking around the ring. He seems confident with the outcome.
I'll tell you, give Noel this much after that big layoff like that and everything. After the first round, he seemed to have come to life, and he held him off for a long time.
How do guys do that after fighting 6 rounds, do a flip like that?
That's real athleticism right there. That really is, jumping up in the air.
I'd be terrified to do that. But John Lennox Lewis, who was looking very fatigued in the last 2 rounds, had enough strength to do this flip right now. And Noel's got the look on his face, though, Joe, like he would love to go 10 rounds.
Yeah.
He's just warming up.
Yeah, it's that more like blank stare, and he just said, you know, he would like to keep fighting, there's no doubt.
Well, Mark's got the official numbers, and we're going to find out how they saw it at ringside.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. All three judges at ringside, Melvina Lathan, Julie Letterman, and Steve Weisfeld, have scored this bout 57-56 to the winner, again by unanimous decision, John Lennox Lewis.
All right, across the board, 57-56. Very similar to the way we saw it down here. And if you think about that point right now, that point became very big.
Especially at the end of the fight here. I mean, I think Noel knew he had to do something as far as knocking him out at the end of it there. He tried his best, but Lewis, I think the youth took over there for a while.
Up at that point, cost them the draw. Of course, the point taken away for holding from Noel. Back in the 5th round, he'll drop down to 28-10-1. John Lennox Lewis will improve to 10-4-1. Steve Farhad's got John Lennox Lewis, his impressions of the fight. Take it away, Steve.
John Lennox Lewis, you know that if they didn't take a point away from him for holding, this would have been a draw.
Yeah, it could never been a draw.
You thought you won easily?
Yeah, I know I won the fight. You know, I came out here to do what I have to do. The guy's a strong guy. Same countryman, eat the same food and grew up on the same thing that I grew up on, you know. Right. He's strong, I give him that, you know, but I came out here to do what I have to do. I had him a couple of times to take him out, but he just kept holding and holding and holding, you know.
What could you have done about that holding? Because he's coming in with his head. He was holding you a lot. What could you have done? He's congratulating you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I try to push him over, but he is strong. That guy is strong. When I try to step to the side, he throws his hands out and he holds me, you know. He's very strong. I must give that credit to him, you know.
Bob Jackson in your corner was screaming at you to motivate you. It seemed to work. Before the 6th round, you said, I'm ready.
Yeah, see, what he was telling me to do is step to the side. When I try to step to the side, he'd launch in, you know. And when he won't launch in, I can't really step to the side because I need my distance. And my distance is critical in this fight, you know, because when I step to the side and he launch in, it cut my distance, so we end up clinching. I try to break through and hold of my hands, but I just can't get it off on him, you know what I'm saying?
Tough guy to fight style-wise. Did you know him from back home?
Yes, I knew him.
You did?
Yeah, he ducked me a few times, you know, but I get him now. You know, I'm the new kid in town, and I'm here to be the world champion, you know.
All
My
right.
manager is taking care of it, Calvin Murphy. Okay.
John Lennox Lewis, a win, a good win over his countryman from Trinidad. We'll see him again. Congratulations.
All right.
Thank you. And all
Thank
my
you,
friends
Steve.
out there, the new kids is here.
The new kid is here. The new kid's
Jesus'
John
name. I say
Lennox
thank you,
Lewis.
More to
More to come on Star Boxing. Stay with us. We're swinging.
Can't get enough of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing? Download the Star Boxing TV app or check out our Roku channel to watch exclusive content and classic fights. Every punch, every knockout, every screen. The Star Boxing TV app gives you exclusive access to every moment of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. Available on Apple, Android, and Roku. Just search Star Boxing to get in the ring.
All right, we're back at ringside with the new sack exchange. Farhad, Klecko, and Rosenthal. I think we're a very formidable combination. What do you think?
Great thought. I don't know about it, though.
I think it's appropriate, Joe, that you're here for us during this fight because the fight was decided on holding. And that was something that you knew about.
Yeah, I used to get it a lot to me, you know. One of the prideful things I had in the NFL 2 years in a row, I led the league in penalties. And I think that's something I'm very proud of.
All right, but a terrific night. John Lennox Lewis squeaking out a decision here. 57-56, pretty much the way you had it, Steve.
Hey, Noel cost himself a draw with that holding, that point deducted for holding. So he won the last round.
Lewis not a believer, though.
No, Lewis thought he won the fight very easily. The other guy imposed his will on Lewis and made it a physical fight. That wasn't for Lewis. So it was close.
All right, another terrific night on the Star for Steve Farhad, Joe Klecko. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal. Good night, Kerry. I'm coming home.